Hi guys, it's Lynn here. Hope you're having an amazing day. Now guys, in this video, I'm going to be potting on my Huernia Succulent Plants. Now these plants are sort of very wacky looking in their pendant stems, as you can see here. They're very alien-like, and they're actually related to the Stopelia family, part of the Stopeliaceae family. And they sort of have their own little individuality. They're quite wacky here. I'll just show you that's actually I've really just noticed. It's about to repot. I've just noticed there's a little flower bud, which is wonderful news. So I'm going to make sure I don't knock that off when I repot, and I'll be very, very careful. That's good news. And I've actually made a video of this Huernia in flower that I did last year. So links up above to that video, guys. You have to check it out. The flowers are so wacky. And they're not nowhere near to the beauty of Stopelia family, because Stopelia flowers are absolutely breathtaking. But they're sort of in the same type of group, and they also don't smell very nice either. But I like these plants. They sort of grow more for their unusuality and their wacky stems. Now, these two plants here, these are actually the same plant, but I got them at different times. One was gifted to me by my wonderful friend, and this one here is one I bought a couple of years ago now from the Cactus Society here in Ireland from my friend Michael. And this one here is also quite a wacky plant, Huernia, but I'm not actually 100% sure of the names. Now, I think this one is down as Huernia pendurata, but again, correct me if I'm wrong, because they weren't actually labelled when I got them. This is what I think there could be. And this one, again, I'm not 100% sure. There's quite a few when I ID it that look very similar. And sometimes even the flowers are similar, so it's quite hard to ID. So guys, if you know exactly what type this could be, please do let me know. As I say, I've mentioned what name I think it possibly could be in the description, and also when I did the flower video last year. So maybe some of you might be able to ID it from there. And also this one here, as you see, it's got really wacky sort of pointy sort of little stems as well, really wacky, and they're not sharp at all. As I say, they look very cactus-like, but they are 100% a succulent, and it's really sort of wacky, part of the milkweed family as well, as they say. And I'm going to be potting them on. Now, what I'm doing, obviously when it comes to repot, is always go to the next size up. As this case, I've gone for a much bigger pot to pot this one on, because I'm going to be potting them two together into the same pot there. And this one is going to be the next one for this one. And what I always recommend doing is, when it comes to potting cacti succulents, always make sure that you use a very well draining potting mix. Now, you can use, I personally prefer to use a loam-based soil that doesn't have as much peat in it than the normal multi-purpose compost. But again, it's entirely up to you. I know many growers of cacti and succulents who use just plain old multi-purpose compost, and they have great success. They just use a bit of extra sand or grit. In this case, I'm using Johnnins, which is a loam-based soil, which I prefer to, me and Hans prefer to use, and we use a bit of extra either grit and sand, or a bit of extra sand and perlite. In this case, we've got sand and perlite because we're out of grit. But as long as the mix is well draining, that's the most important thing. And I have made a video on how to make your own cactus and succulent compost. Not only is it more affordable, but you also know what's going into it. And links up above to that video. So do check it out if you're new to growing these plants and you'd like to be interested in making your own soil. It's far more affordable, far more economical. And if you have 1,000,001 plants like me and Hans do, it's definitely more economical than buying the little bags of compost, believe me. Obviously I'll show you here, this is the mix we've got here. A bit of extra, as I say, we're out of grit, so we've substituted it with perlite and the sand, which is the same thing as long as it's well draining. And obviously you can be filling the pots. Always make sure you use clean pots, guys. And I say me and Hans doing a lot of repotting all through this summer, which has been absolutely fantastic. We love doing. And watch out for quite a few repotting videos coming up. We've got some funny ones because there's some big cacti that thank God Hans is here to help me with, because they are giants, guys. Now, obviously, when it comes to repotting, obviously, you're not daft, all of you, and this isn't a how-to video. As I say, I've done many how-to videos on how to repot cacti and succulents. This is purely just me potting it on. And there you go, look at that. Wow, look at that for a root system, guys. It's always a good idea when you are potting on, check the roots out. As you can see here, great root system, no signs of any bugs. And I always prefer to, you know, you hear a lot of growers that recommend separating all the roots and taking the whole compost off before potting on. Personally, myself, I don't. And I've never ever lost a plant that way. I just make sure that I disturb the roots as less as possible and just make sure that there's no root rot or any signs of bugs. As I say, this is actually coming into bud, so I'm going to be very careful and make sure I put that back into the greenhouse so they conserved it in the same direction it was. I say more soil in here. So the most important thing is always that it's well drained. I always like to pick out any of the bits in the soil, and probably a good idea to actually put it through the sieve if you have one, guys. I normally do, but I've just been a bit lazy this time. And there you go here. We put that there, like so. Again, making sure I don't touch that bud, and push that into the side there, making enough room so I can put soil down the side. And then this little one now, again, this is labelled as Penderata, so it could be that, but I'm not 100% sure. So guys, if you do know, let me know. Again, great root system there, and remove any little weeds that seem to take a hitchhike in the pot. There, that's great. And again, take that around. I'll probably put that on this side where there's a bit of room to pop the two together. And again, try not to disturb it as much as possible there. And that's better, all growing together. And then I'm going to be putting the soil on all around the edges. Always a good idea when you are repotting cacti and succulents. I often get asked, oh, when is the best time to repot? Well, again, this is always down to what you prefer. Personally, myself, I wouldn't repot a cactus or recommend repotting a cactus or a succulent in the winter when it's dormant, unless you've got obviously Christmas cacti or Thanksgiving cacti that are actively growing that time, or even some of the epiphytes also. They can sort of winter grow, or the South African succulents, obviously they can be potted up then because they're actively growing. So rather than saying spring or summer, probably when the plant is not actively growing, not a good idea to repot. Reason being is because if you damage the roots at all or anything like that, it's harder for the plant to repair itself and it can rot. So I just prefer to do this personally during the spring and the summer, and I've always had great success. Again, just gently, what you want to make sure is you have no air pockets down there, so gently squeezing around there, gently pushing it down, not pushing it too hard to damage the roots, just enough so you can tap it in. It's all going down the sides, and again there, as you can see, needs a bit more there. Hey, a little bit around the edges. And gently tucking it in. And, that's great. And the reason why I'm showing you this all the way through, if you want to fast forward it, guys, if you guys want to see what it looks like when it's all potted up, I understand, is because I've done a few videos in the past where I've just literally just shown the finished result and the before, and people say, but I wanted to actually see you potting up the plants. So that's why I'm doing this. I'm giving you the option. You can either just fast forward it to the end or watch it all the way through. I personally love watching repotting videos, but that's me. I love watching people potting up their plants. I actually do find it therapeutic. That's great. Like so, and just tap it in. Oh, just a little bit more in that corner, I think. That's great. That's great. Just check where that little flower is. There's the flower there. That's wonderful. So that's the first one, guys, all nicely potted up. And that's that. And again, this one again, gently squeeze it out. Oh, now that's quite a small. Oh, that hasn't got many roots, as you can see. So that's way too big of a pot. Now, this proves that I don't rehearse any of this, guys. I just repot and let it live on as a vlog. I went to repot that, and the roots are great, by the way. Remember, I had this pately, there was no roots on it, so it's got good roots, no signs of any rot or bugs or anything like that. But although that was in proportion with the next size up, looking at it now, you can see by its root system, if I was to put that in the pot I was going to put it in, judging by the next size up, it would inevitably, not necessarily, but could cause rot if it was sitting too long in soil that didn't dry out so quickly. So in this case, I'm probably going to put it back up again. Sorry guys, but always best to do things right. Empty that back out there, the old soil. Put some fresh soil into it anyway, and put it back into the same pot, but the difference is it's freshened the soil up, which is good, and give it a bit of a kickstart. As I say, it's always good when you are repotting. Now that's good, it's all coming like that's a lovely plant, and like that, like so, a bit more to spread it out a little bit more as well, rather than all crunched up. Remove any weeds, that's a lot better. So there you go, putting it back into the same pot again, but with fresh soil. And that's why it's always good when it comes to repotting. You don't necessarily just think, oh, it just has to go to the next size. It really is, you judge how the plant looks. As in this case, I used my head and didn't put it in the next size pot if I was going to, judging by how the roots looked. Healthy, but still very shallow. So you wouldn't want to put them in too big of a pot. But freshen it up there. It's going to look a lot better. And I do that with a lot. Sometimes some of my cacti and succulents actually don't need repotting. They're actually not root bound and they haven't really grown that much. But if they're looking a bit yellow and they're just, it doesn't matter how much you feed them or anything, and there's no signs of pests or bugs, sometimes they just need to be took out the pot and just repot back in the same pot again, but with fresh soil, as in this case. And it gives it a bit of a kickstart with all the nutrients and everything like that. And again, tapping it in like so. And good to give it a bit of all that fresh soil in there. And again, with these Huernias, if anyone can definitely ID what these are, please let me know, because it's hard to know exactly what type these are. See right into the nooks and crannies, and gently tap it in there, gently pressing down like so. And there you go. So that's great. So that's been freshened up and that's been put into the next size up. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I want to send you loads of love, heaps of happiness, and tons of plant power. As always, from Ireland. And until the next video, guys. Bye. Bye.